right, now that's probably 100% accurate on what Larry Fink would do to Gary Gensler if he weren't to approve the Bitcoin ETF. I mean, let's be honest, I think Gary's playing with fire. I mean, Larry's a pretty big guy, built like a linebacker, maybe back in the day, used to smash face. But ladies and gentlemen, it's looking like the odds of a denial are, yeah. But it doesn't look like the ETF is getting denied. Bitcoin's time has arrived. ETF hopefuls eagerly await the SEC decision. So when is it coming? Honestly, the window to approve has opened today, so it could come in minutes, seconds, hours, or at the beginning of next week until the 10th. That is when things could be greenlit. And I don't think BlackRock and Larry Fink would be purchasing $10 million of Bitcoin today if they weren't certain they were going to get approved. And again, we know Gary's backed in a corner after the grayscale court decision. One thing's for certain, this past week has been one of the craziest news weeks I've ever experienced since being in Bitcoin. And not just on the Bitcoin front, we got a lot of shit going on. I think I saw Nephilim was trending on Twitter. Fiat World's getting clownier by the day, but we got a lot of bullish Bitcoin news to cover. Let's get it.
Party, that party. Yeah, come and have a good time with G.O.D.
You know, a lot of people ask me what I think the ETF's going to do to Bitcoin's price, and I'm going to go right here with Saylor. Bitcoin's going to go off to the races and leave everyone else in the dust, as it has the past 15 years.
You know what I would say? I would say every property is weaker than Bitcoin, so sell your real estate, sell your equity, sell your bonds, sell your gold, sell your silver, sell your commodities, sell your collectibles, sell everything by Bitcoin.
So could Giga Chad dethrone Elon Musk as the wealthiest man in the world? Well, Bitcoin would need to 24x to about 1,054,000 cuckbucks. And there are some that believe that is well within play. But more on the ETF. Here from Charles Gasparino, breaking guidance on SEC Gov decision on Bitcoin spot ETF is that it's coming hopefully next week, according to one issuer. Keep in mind, maybe slightly different timetables for decisions on applications based on when they were filed, or like Balchunas and Seifert, we have seen the SEC will approve them all at once. Gasparino doesn't know. Does anybody know? I think Larry Fink knows. But today, the Bitcoin ETF amendments and discussions are showing the timeline for approvals are expected next week. And that's again Eleanor Terrett from Fox Business. So here we are. It's down to the SEC's review of the final comments and changes. We are in the final stages. We're dotting the I's, crossing the T's. But really, what's going to happen to Bitcoin after this thing gets approved? One thing we know, the buildup, the suspense, I'm sure a lot of people are sitting on pins and needles, but the ad campaigns just keep coming. Here's Bitcoin's network hash rate reaches an all-time high, 610 exahash per second. The strongest computing network on the planet continues to get stronger and stronger. And again, we've talked about this before. That's the bullish divergence. Look at Bitcoin's price and look at the hash adjusted price, and you'll start to see things a little differently. And as you continue down your Bitcoin journey, you are going to learn so much. I myself was a history teacher, had a master's in education, bachelor's in political science, and in all my years of self-study, etc., my few years in Bitcoin, I have learned so much more. And it's because Bitcoin conglomerates all these things: mathematics, technology, economics, philosophy, equality, egalitarianism, politics, history, energy, money, hope. No one has fallen down the Bitcoin rabbit hole and found a bottom. Not yet, not to this day, probably never will. And well, every now and then, Bitcoin likes to shake out some people. For example, you saw what happened yesterday. That was a cleanse of excess liquidity, maybe for Larry Fink to go and buy his sats today. But if you sold like a blue-haired pansy, you know, and you're looking at the Bitcoiners, the people like us, and you're wondering, man, how did Bitcoin drop 4K and it didn't even bother you? Well, it's probably because we're not weak-handed little because, ladies and gentlemen, the writing is on the wall. This from Bitcoin Therapist. I don't know why, but I think the BTF is going to be approved. Yep, everyone's hopping on the Bitcoin bandwagon. Larry, Gary, J-Pow, Janet, and Liz cannot deny the therapist dank memes. The FOMO is coming, ladies and gentlemen, and it will reach a fever pitch, and you don't want to be on the other side of that, because when you're waiting on the FOMO to kick in, and you're trying to get on the Bitcoin train, may not be any Bitcoin left on those exchanges. But here we go. If a Bitcoin ETF is approved, here's what may happen. Gaber Gerbachs, the director of digital assets at VanEck, said that while a spot ETF will create trillions in value over the long term, people tend to overestimate the initial impact, and initial flows will equal only a few hundred million of mostly recycled money. Others believe that ETF issuers will be required to purchase tens of billions in Bitcoin to satisfy institutional demand, and then this is where we have been talking about the demand shock meets supply shock, and that could make this cycle, well, different. And there's also the history of, we can look what happened to the gold ETF. So the first spot gold ETF in the US debuted in 2004. Gold amassed $1.9 billion in inflation-adjusted terms in its first 4 weeks, with the tally rising to $4.8 billion by the end of the first year. According to crypto exchange Coinbase, the ETF currently has $57.37 billion in total assets. Going back further in time, Invesco's Triple Q, an ETF that tracks the NASDAQ 100 of some of the world's most innovative companies, was launched in '99, a year before the dot-com bubble burst. The fund saw inflows of $847 million. That would be $1.6 billion in today's dollars, also demonstrating inflation over the past, couple decades. But that was in the first 30 days. Now, something else we have to consider with Bitcoin is the global economy. With elevated risk-free interest rates worldwide and worsening household finances, the macroeconomic environment plays against a scenario of strong mainstream uptake for spot ETFs, but I'm going to go against that. I'm with Larry Fink. That's going to further incentivize the flood into Bitcoin as the flight to quality away from the toxic dollar and the rapid de-dollarization and the inflationary cycle, or you could say it's an inflationary cycle leading into a 29-like drop, and maybe we'll do an episode on that. We've touched on it before. But there are many ways in which the market can react to these things, and that's what's always something to be conscious of, is not to sweat the small stuff. I bet a lot of you are watching a bunch of shitcoin peddlers, and they're trying to get you to trade in and out of things. They're trying to get you emotional. They're trying to scare you. They're trying to get you to FUD or sell your Bitcoin or buy their shitcoin so they can buy more Bitcoin. They're all scammers, and they're not giving you the signal, because everyone that's giving you technical analysis is absolutely full of shit. And we're going to get into that very soon. And Wall Street is about to learn what Bitcoin is all about. So there you go, Wall Street. There's that ETF. Satoshi's coming. And now again, like I told you, all these TA people and their charts, and they're trying to get you to trade and use leverage. That's bullshit. That is how you lose everything. This is really all you need to know. Don't look at these stupid ass charts. This is where you are. This is how Bitcoin works. So the plan B stock to flow, throw that shit in the trash. One thing I can guarantee is you're probably going to be looking at 2 green years of Bitcoin, and we have a lot of things that would lead us to believe it would be one of the most epic bull runs in Bitcoin's history. And so while all this is out there to, make you feel scared or worried and da-da-da-da, all we know is Bitcoin over time is up and to the right. It's the best performing asset in the history of mankind. And we have entered the second green candle year of the cycle. This is what happens usually leading up to the halving, and about 9, 12, 18 months after the halving. Well, just go read a little bit. You'll figure it out. And we can also expect, after those 3 wonderful years, the great crash will come, the great flood, and all the weak paper hands will be swept away, leaving the strong hands to reap the reward and inherit the earth. The based will inherit the earth, not the weak blue-haired paper-hand pansies. She to think about what Samson Mow is saying here. Bitcoin dropped 5,000 on some fake news from a no-name analyst who just happened to be a big blocker. Go ahead and check out our episode from a couple days ago. But imagine what happens when a dozen ETFs are approved and start smash market buying Bitcoin. You may think an Omega candle is impossible, but my friends, it's very real. So again, we talked about, the macroeconomic environment is something that will also play a big factor with Bitcoin. So every now and then we got to check in on Fiat World, and let's see how things are going, shall we? Well, full-time workers are down 1.5 million in 1 month to the lowest since February 2023. That from Zero Hedge, all these numbers from Zero Hedge. Part-time workers are up 762,000 to a record high, while multiple job holders hit an all-time high of 8.56 million. And Janet, the administration, Jay Powell, the central bankers, they will all lie to you and tell you that the economy is strong when your own eyes and intuition tell you, well, probably not the truth, and I should probably seek quality. I should probably fly to the hardest money ever created or discovered. Okay, now, very bullish stuff for Bitcoin, Fiat World, clownier by the day. as apparently, like we said, Nephilim spotted in Miami. What the hell is going on? Let's check this out from Mario Knopfel. Miami's Bayside Marketplace video shows something weird, a glowing figure walking through smoke during the wild scene. After a fight and fireworks at the mall, 4 teens arrested in an operation that required over 60 police cars on the scene and a couple helicopters. What do you guys think? I'm looking at that. I don't know. But that's a lot of fuzz out there for some kids fighting with sticks or something. Don't know. Super sketchy. But I would probably, if I were you, maybe look into something called Project Bluebeam. And, we had some other very interesting news this week that seemed to confirm a bunch of conspiracy theories over the past few years that a bunch of elites have been engaged in nefarious activity and have been so for a very long time. But in honor of all that, let's remember the late great Norm Macdonald.
No, he's not a liar, a crook, murderer, or anything like that. So it'd be good to get the. See, I think we should get the homicide out of the White House and get like a fresh start, because we don't want any more murderers.
I think we should just go on to the next question.
Oh.
Who's the murderer?
Oh, Clinton, he murdered a guy.
Simple qualification.
You're not supposed to put out accusations without.
That's a little too far.
That's the way it does work.
Let's just go on to the next question.
Yeah.
This is not my week. What can I tell you?
It wasn't a lot of people's
mine
weeks.
either, and I'm being very nice, okay? Be a good boy. Now, Norm.
Did you never hear that?
No. Listen,
No,
we don't need
I
to
don't want
talk
to get
about
into
that.
this, and I don't want to hear it, and this is not the place to make those accusations, and you're supposed to be funny. Let's get on to the next question. So get with it.
There you go.
This is a live show.
Not for nothing,
Why?
Norm, but you have been properly chastised by Barbara. So I'm now going to ask the next
I
question.
thought it was a matter of record.
Ladies and gentlemen, legends never die. And I think we made a little statement yesterday on how the U.S. is turning into a banana republic from the, the crypto army clown show of Elizabeth Warren and her regarded crew. But we also have ballot cleansing, as the established political regime in power are currently moving to bar their competition from ballots in different states across the nation. Now, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm pro-freedom. And what we see here is an obvious display of the state working together to go attack its political enemies, just as the British attacked Samuel Adams and the colonists. We are in an amazing time in history. And Nico hit on this today when he did a reading of the sovereign individual. This is the death of the nation state playing out, and it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time, and they're going to fight very hard to maintain their monopoly on the creation of money and the control system that allows them to have. But knowing all this should also steer you ever further into Bitcoin, because I don't know, these people in power, they're highly suspect. Yo, if you're looking to get started in Bitcoin, want to learn how to make sure you're staying secure, following best practices, getting that Bitcoin off of exchanges and into self-custody, well, we got just the guys to get you covered. Ladies and gentlemen, as your dedicated Bitcoin IT team, the Bitcoin Way is here to guide you from start to finish on your journey to properly self-custody your Bitcoin. What's more, they've recently introduced 100% privacy-focused collaborative custody services where you're going to benefit from advanced multi-sig security, inheritance planning, and much more while remaining 100% in control. Looking to get started? Book a free 30-minute call using that link below. Guys, it is nearly here, and hopefully you've been sticking your balls off preparing for this moment. If not, again, the opportunity is here. What you gonna do, sit on the sidelines waiting for Bitcoin to fall to 12K or some bullshit like that? That's the case. Probably not much I can do for you here, but for the rest of you here for the peaceful Bitcoin revolution, don't forget to like, subscribe, and please share the Sound Money Gospel. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, where we're getting all the latest breaking news. But hey, keep tuning into Simply Bitcoin, your #1 stop for the peaceful Bitcoin revolution. I'll catch you all tomorrow. Peace.
If you want to know who runs it, BlackRock is, you know this, you've covered it. BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard, all controlled by the same group of less than a dozen managers, control 88% of world assets and wealth, and they've said we'll use this to control people. They want to cut off our resources. They're saying, we can't take showers or wash our clothes. And so it's a religion of do as I say, not as I do. I'm an anointed one. I'm a priest class. I rule over you. You're a serf.
If you prefer to go down with the ship, fuck you.